Hey, the Dolphins won on Friday and the Bills lost Sunday. So that means the lead in the AFC East is up to 2.5 games. And that's reason to type MIA in the chat. So do it now. I want to see 200 MIAs in the chat. We got a great edition of Dolphins Today ready for you. So let's not waste any more time. Dolphins Today starts right now. Coming up on today's show, we've got a lot to get to. It's a busy edition of Dolphins Today. We'll start with the unfortunate news and the reality of the situation now for the Dolphins and considering replacements for Jaelan Phillips with the Achilles injury, obviously out for the season. So that means the free agency rumor talk begins for the Aqua and Orange. We'll discuss what all that entails and take a look at the depth chart on the defensive side moving forward. So let's go ahead and do it. By now, the reality of the situation has sunk in. Take a little time to process what happened at MetLife Stadium on Friday. A guy that is so beloved by the Miami Dolphins, and rightfully so. He's been playing his best football. Him and Bradley Chubb combining into that dynamic duo that Vic Fangio had hoped for. And unfortunately, his season comes to an end on that god-awful turf at MetLife Stadium. And I know it does no good to cry over spilled milk, as they say, but you just feel terrible for somebody like Jaelan Phillips, who's the heart and soul and represents everything that's good about the Miami Dolphins and the Dolphins defense specifically. But you see the mindset, you see the kind of mentality he has. He tweeted this out, absolutely devastated, but I feel strength in knowing that this is all a part of God's plan and that I have an incredible team and support system around me. I'll be back stronger than ever. Fins up. And with Jaelan Phillips tweeting that out, I think it is just kind of a picture of what he's like as a person and how he has that positive mindset. And we know he'll be back better than ever. So, of course, we wish him all the best. But as the season rolls around, such is nature in the National Football League, you start to think who could be some potential replacements for such an impactful player like Jaelan Phillips that is putting out all kinds of impactful plays and having the statistics to back it up. Take a look at this from Barry Jackson over the weekend, talking about some potential replacements. Tweeted this out. Dolphins have some interest in former Eagles first-rounder Derek Barnett, per a league source. He's available now in free agency, has 21.5 sacks and 37 tackles for loss in 7 seasons, and he's versatile enough he can play that outside linebacker in a 3-4, which is exactly what Vic Fangio likes. And, of course, with that Vic Fangio connection, remember, Vic Fangio spent some time with the Eagles as a consultant last year, so there is a little bit of a relationship there. But production in 2023 for Barnett, as you can imagine, not exactly there. That's why the Eagles eventually waived him last week, and he just kind of fell out of favor with the Eagles' defensive staff, and the production wasn't there. And also, when you combine that with the level of play that the Eagles have, very, very impressive depth, and he just kind of fell out of that rotation, got buried on the depth chart. But the career stats are there to back it up in 150 tackles to go along with 21.5 sacks, 37 tackles for loss. So it's a guy that has a proven track record, albeit it sometimes could be considered like that's ancient history when Barnett was making those plays. So, begs the question, is there any gas left in the tank? Because remember, this was a first-round pick, 14th overall back in 2017. He was a part of that Eagles Super Bowl team in 2018, made some impactful plays there. And he does kind of fit that Jaelan Phillips body type, obviously a much older addition, but could be a piece for Vic Fangio to use in that 3-4 system that the Dolphins have been running. So, with that, I ask you, be the GM with me for a second. Should the Dolphins sign Derek Barnett? Type Y for yes or N for no. When you think about it, I think Derek Barnett is a guy that could provide some value for this Miami Dolphins team. And the Eagles were trying to work him in as a rotational edge player. He's obviously not going to be your bread and butter, but when he becomes available, combined with the timing of the Phillips injury, it might be worth it for Chris Grier to bring him in, especially when you consider it's kind of that plug-and-play fit right at that edge position that the Dolphins lose Jaelan Phillips at. So I'm not saying Barnett's going to resurrect his career in Miami or become the missing piece to this defense. In fact, this Dolphins defense has been playing really well, especially in their last 3 games. But it might mitigate the damage a little bit of losing a guy like Jaelan Phillips. Now, there are a few other replacements to consider, and we'll discuss that. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to a brand new sponsor, and that is Factor. We're giving you 50% off with that promo code FINSCHAT50. So listen up, my people. This holiday season, you might be looking for nutritious, convenient meals to keep you energized on jammed-packed days. We know with the holidays, those jam-packed days are coming up. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service, can help you fuel up fast for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. Let me say that again. Delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle while tackling all your holiday to-dos. So if you're like me, you're probably too busy with the holiday plans to cook, but you want to make sure you're eating well. With Factor, skip the extra trip to the grocery store and the chopping and the prepping and the cleaning up too, while still getting the flavor and nutritional quality you need. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes. All you have to do is heat and enjoy. It helps you skip the stress of meal prepping over the holidays. Nobody's got time for that. And with Factor, you can choose from 35-plus weekly flavor-packed, fresh, never frozen meals that support a healthy lifestyle and meet your meal preference, all delivered right to your door and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. That's so awesome. Just 2 minutes. So head to factormeals.com/FINSCHAT50 and use code FINSCHAT50 to get 50% off. That's code FINSCHAT50 at factormeals.com/FINSCHAT50 to get that 50% off. And you know, we always make it easy on you. We'll put that link in the description of today's video. So head to factormeals.com/FINSCHAT50 and use that code FINSCHAT50 to get 50% off. Now, I mentioned some other options, and I think when you talk about guys that are getting a little bit long in the tooth or maybe some more tread on the tire, whatever cliche you want to use, Melvin Ingram and Carlos Dunlap, unfortunately, both fit that mold. However, they're both available as potential replacements, again, as the Dolphins look to try to fill that missing piece in the loss of Jaelan Phillips for the season. So Melvin Ingram, obviously Dolphins fans are familiar with Melvin Ingram, 9-year veteran, played for the Dolphins in 2022, and some production there over his career, 57 career sacks. But again, the question remains is how much gas is really left in the tank? And you could certainly say that for Carlos Dunlap, the 14-year veteran who played for the Chiefs in 2022. So he's got that Super Bowl experience. 100 career sacks, 4 of them in 2022 last year with the Kansas City Chiefs. And so with that said, there are some potential options, and I do anticipate the Dolphins making a move here at some point. We'll see what that looks like to try to replace Jaelan Phillips. And you know, if and when the Dolphins make any move with any breaking news, we've got you covered here on Dolphins Today, and that is why you subscribe. If you haven't yet and you like what you see, do it now, youtube.com/Dolphins News. Never miss a thing. We've got you covered on all angles of the aqua and orange. So, to review, I think our available options here off the cusp, Derek Barnett, who was just waived by Philadelphia, Melvin Ingram, who played for the Dolphins in 2022, or Carlos Dunlap, who played for the Chiefs in 2022. All of those guys free agents. So I leave it up to you. You got to let me know who are you going to pick as your edge rusher replacement. Go ahead and type it in the comments right now. DB for Derek Barnett, MI for Melvin Ingram, or CD for Carlos Dunlap. Because when you look at the Dolphins' edge rushing depth chart, there ain't a lot of guys on there, especially with Jaelan Phillips, losing him for the year. So it's pretty much Bradley Chubb and Andrew Van Ginkel. Van Ginkel was really productive earlier in the season when Jaelan Phillips was hurt. So obviously if the Dolphins do bring someone in, it's to back up Andrew Van Ginkel. And Emmanuel Ogbah doesn't necessarily fit that 3-4 scheme, in my opinion, which is why he hasn't had a ton of playing time. So, point being, not a lot of able bodies on that depth chart right now from that edge outside linebacker position, which is kind of a bummer, especially when you consider how well this Dolphins defense has been playing. Take a look there. Last 3 games, the turnovers have been there, forcing the turnovers, I should say. They forced 6 of them. They've been getting pressure on them. 11 sacks, 7 of them against the Jets. Christian Wilkins, Zach Sealer, they've been disruptive on the interior defensive line. Raekwon Davis as well. Even saw Deshaun Hand in there. And so my point being, this defense really coming together. You don't want to lose production in the loss of Jaelan Phillips, which is why I certainly will have my eyes peeled if and when the Dolphins decide to make a move. But I think, based on what we've seen the last several weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, even before that, this Dolphins defense can be elite. The secondary play has been tremendous since the return of Jalen Ramsey. And again, the linebacking play has been really good. And up front, the Dolphins are getting pressure on the opposition, 7 sacks against the Jets. So I'm pretty confident in the Dolphins defense. You got to let me know how you feel. Be honest with me. Scale it in the comments. 1 through 10, your confidence level in this Dolphins defense. Now, with that said, really appreciate everybody tuning in to this edition of Dolphins Today. Lots to cover as our 8-3 Miami Dolphins continue that playoff push. So keep it right here on Dolphins Today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because we have a ton of fun on this one. We do a lot of Dolphins watch parties. We do live shows, and of course, we bring you daily video content as well. Our watch party for the New York Jets game on Black Friday was electric. Had a good time as always. So thanks for tuning in. Shout out producer Jack on the 1s and 2s, and we'll be with you all week getting you set for Dolphins and Commanders coming up in Week 13 of the National Football League. But until then, have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll talk to you next time on Dolphins Today.